Good morning.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning, Marie-France.
Good morning.
This is Marie-France Szymanek, one of the best graphologists in the world, because the France actually is the center of graphology, isn't it?
Yes.
Good. Can you tell me a little bit about the graphology in France?
It's a long story. It started more than 1 century ago, and it started there really with someone who was called Michon, and who studied the signs and wrote books and compared handwritings between themselves. And then he was followed by Szymanek, a man who organized everything and gave a method. He's old-fashioned in the way he reacts to people, speaks about them, but he's still modern the way he decided that we must have an objective look at handwriting, look at the signs, and only interpret after we have studied it according to a method. Then a German man, it's not in France after, it followed with Klages in Germany, Pulver in Switzerland, but Szymanek had founded la Société Française de Graphologie, who did research and teaching, and is still going on and thriving with lots of well-formed people who teach and write magazine, do research, and now belong to a European society of all the good graphologists.
Thank you. And what is your own experience as a graphologist? How did you come to graphology?
I was interested by it since childhood. I didn't know why. I watched handwritings. I liked to look at them. I was curious about it, and I learned by myself. I bought books on the quays on the along the river Seine, the bouquinist, very old books, and then I decided to study it for good. I subscribed to, I took an inscription to la Société Française de Graphologie, followed their course for 3 years, passed the exam, and one of my teachers asked me to help her because she had a lot of work. She was working for in recruitment. So I helped her, and I was offered a job later on in recruitment. But I always worked as a teacher, and I also helped. I worked with a psychiatrist who sent me his patients, some of his patients, so that I could help them with their jobs, but not only with their jobs. After La Société, I did another degree, 2 years degree and research. I did my research on young graduates from high schools, best schools, who started their own business in those times. Not so many did that, and I did a study on who they were, why they did it, etc.
So what can you tell people who says, oh, that's rubbish, that's what you just, it's fortune telling? Is it or no?
Of course not. Of course, it's not fortune telling. There's anyone can see even with their own handwriting, that when they are tired or stressed, they write differently. Anyone can distinguish the writing of a child from the writing of an old person. Most often, if somebody is very depressed, it appears in their handwriting. It's obvious that there are strong connections, links between the handwriting and the person's character.
Can just ordinary people see this difference Just if, for example, somebody who is not graphologist and he's looking at the handwriting, is it possible to tell?
Well, if someone is very intuitive and knows the person and receives, say, a jerky letter or maybe an envelope with the address written all in a little corner and all shrunk, he noticed something. But there are rules to the study of it. It has to be done in an objective way, not intuitive. Statistically, and it has been studied how people. If you compare handwritings with other tests that the person goes through, you find connections. So you validate the interpretations, which are at the start were purely intuitive and out of experience, and they have been statistically validated. The difficulty being that it's a bit different for each person, so we have to be very careful the way we apply the general rules to an individual. Also, one of the difficulties of graphology is that every sign, what we call a sign, has a lot of interpretations, and we have to sift together several signs to make sure we don't choose the wrong interpretation. For instance, I give an example. It's a bit rough, but the spread out handwriting can mean many things. Many things. It can mean that the person is relaxed. It can mean that the person is a bit maybe passive. On the contrary, that the person wants to gain space on the right. And so the right interpretation will be given by the context, by other signs, such as the stroke, the pressure, the shape of the letters. That's what makes it difficult. And what I want to say that what I call a sign is one aspect of the handwriting, of course. Usually, the meaningful signs come from the difference each writer brings into his own handwriting from what he learned, from the copybook handwriting he was taught as a child. So as we grow, we personalize our handwriting in order to make it more fluent, faster, though it still has to be legible, because handwriting is a means of communication, of course. It's a code that is passed from one person to another. So the more the handwriting differs from the copybook model we were taught, the more telling it is.
So I think that it is just fascinating subject, isn't it?
It is. It is. It gives it gives an insight in the person. We can see how a person tries to cope with life using his assets and trying to overcome or even use what's not so easy in, I don't know how to put it, pros and cons, sort of. And the interesting thing is not so much what the person is. Most people are afraid of graphology. Oh, you are going to think I'm this or that. Or everyone is entitled to be good at some things and bad at others. It's the way, it's what people do with it, how they accept themselves, how they try to overcome their difficulties, how they relate to others. And we see it sort of in the living with the handwriting. It's not something frozen. We live with the person when we see the handwriting.
So does graphology in any way changed your life? Change your perception to people? Oh no.
I think so. I might started quite young, and I think unconsciously I was looking for some sort of perfection. What was good, what was not good. And I really came to the conclusion that whatever you are only what you are. You can't be everything. So, and instead of being disappointed by that, it was a beginning. It made me understand something about human nature. And the people we love them for their defects as well as for their qualities. It's not a question of perfection, qualities, defects. It's a question of how we manage to live and live in the best possible way, knowing that we make a lot of mistakes, but it's not important. And maybe it allowed me to accept me and also to accept others and to help others to accept themselves. I have, through my experience, I realized that people are always have a sense of guilt for not being better or doing better, or even if they don't show it, you think, oh, they are relaxed and laid back, but it's not true. And if you tell them, don't try too much, don't try to be different, don't try to get done with some defects you think you have, just put up with them. Though I don't give advice, really, we are not supposed to give advice, but let them understand that that's how I see them, that's how I think they will be successful. And then maybe if they can reconcile themselves with themselves a little, well, they feel better and they do better.
Thank you. And normally, how people relate to your work?